now, and you're still playing with the media, talking about how Andy Minnery's not going to be a factor in this game.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a great day, isn't it? You look around, and the weather has cooperated, and my goodness, the fans here, and a pretty interesting little scrimmage going on here. Offense looks like they're moving the ball, and the defense comes up with a big play every once in a while, but the offense looks pretty good at this particular point.
What are you liking about the offense at this point?
We're running downhill.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. You'll notice we have a little more two backs in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
They run a little more isolation with the I-back formation, and that sets up your bootleg passing game. And of course, you see Forcier's got some good feet and a good release, so he's going to be a factor that if you want to put too much pressure on him, he can scoot out of there and get yards for you. So all those things bode well for the offense. The defense has got to get a little more stuff stronger up front, but they're doing some now. See, that's what I mean. They're not. That isn't a stretch play anymore. You'll notice the ball was run right up the middle, so they have the ability now to kick out, gap block, and run the ball up the middle. And they're doing a little bit more of that. And I've been very pleased with how they're adding that to their offense instead of always being a stretch sweep type of team. So it's going to give them a lot more ability to move the football more than.
Well, and Jerry, you can do that when you have better play up front with your offensive line. What do you think about the guys up front? You're seeing a mixture of different linemen up there. Certainly a long way to go, but they've shown improvement today.
Well, they're all showing improvement, but the idea is now you're giving them more than one way to attack a defense, and it helps your offensive line. If most of the things you do is always zone blocking, they play that. But now when you can gap block a little bit and base block a little bit, it makes it a little more problem for the defense to know what you're doing, and that adds to the ability for the linemen to execute better.
It doesn't hurt the fact that you got 20-year-old kids becoming 21, basically mostly coming back, getting bigger, getting stronger, getting more comfortable with what they're doing.
But you got to remember, they're still young. This is a group of young kids in there. There aren't a lot of guys who've had a lot of experience in there. So the idea is that now that's a well-thrown ball right into the seam and broke a tackle and goes in the end zone. So those things are looking a lot better. I think throwing the ball a little bit better on time. And as you saw, he came off of a break. Instead of sitting in the hole, he made a move, and the ball was thrown to his outside, and that took him into the end zone. So that shows good preparation and better execution, for goodness sakes.
Well, that was Kennedy, as you mentioned, a strike to Nick Kohenschneck, and he found him at about the 8-yard line, turned it upfield for a touchdown for the Whites, 60-28. And again, folks, if you're just tuning in, the scoring is much different than you're used to. Points rewarded for first downs or points rewarded for defensive stops and whatnot. But the offense up today, 61-28. We're joined now with Coach Jerry Hanlon in the box. Glad to have you along. We always like your participation, Coach. What do you think about all the old players coming back? You know, they said you got to feel this flag football game. Yeah, might not have been the most pretty thing today, but it certainly has a lot of potential. People will see it and want to come back every year.
Well, I think we can get a little better organized than we did this year. We kind of, it was thrown together, and we had a limited number of guys, and so I think if we could somehow get a little better, a few more guys out there, and we can make it something that's really fun to be a part of.
Well, they're just announcing the attendance, and although they're not giving an official number out, and I don't see how you can with no turnstiles being used or anybody using a ticket to get in, but the eyeball test is that it was a spring football game record. So congratulations to everybody who is out there in the stands today and who made the effort to come out to see Michigan.
Well, they said an estimated 50,000, Coach. I guess it's just an eyeball test, like you said.
Yeah. Well, I looked earlier and been here a few times, but I think the big thing was that if you look from end zone to end zone, at either side, you're going to have at least 30,000 in the lower bowl like that, because it's about 15, I think, on either side. But then when you add in what you had, there's a few have left now, but it looked close to, I'd say, somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 to 40, if nothing else. So it's a good day, that's for sure.
Yep. Tate Forcier and his group out there again. He's got the tight end Mundros and Grady split both sides. Grady will take the handoff, go untouched, and they'll get up to about the 7-yard line and haul down. But the situation here is they're lining them up. I don't know if they're working just red zone here to look like that, but certainly the White moving the chain again.
Yes, again, 2 backs in the backfield where they're using the one back as a lead blocker, and that way they're able to gap block, and as you saw, a nice hole opened up the middle, and instead of going laterally, they're hitting up the middle with the more quick-hitting plays, and when you get into the secondary in a spread formation, you're going to get yards, and that's exactly what's happening with this type of offense that they're running in this particular situation.
Well, it seems too, Coach, they have more running backs this year. Last year, the youth was apparent. You had McGuffey and Shaw. Shaw will be back. Here's a touchdown in the corner of the end zone on the fade route.
They're not. Now they do it. Now they're ruling it a touchdown.
Greg Matthews.
Andy.
No, you're fine. Greg Matthews hauls it down the corner of the end zone as Forcier tumbles down in celebration. But
don't hit him too hard.
Right,
Hurt him in celebration, huh?
I want to get back to the thought, if I could, Coach, not to downplay the touchdown, but you remember last year you had people were talking about youth, and you just mentioned it. You're a little bit older at tailback, but you still haven't had everybody healthy that's out there competing with Brown and Minor. Those guys are big-time backs. You know, Mike Cox, a year under his belt, Vincent Smith, still young, but you're getting more depth at the running back position.
Oh, absolutely. And Grady's not chopped liver.
Right.
You put him in there, he'll get yardage for you. I looked at Minor and Carlos Brown, and I'd love to see those two in the backfield at the same time. I mean, they're no longer little backs. I mean, they're 215, 220, and they got speed, and they are a threat. And so they're big enough to be good blockers, and they're quick enough to be great running backs. So you get them in a football game, that's going to be a handful for a defense to have to worry about.
I'm not trying to heighten expectations at all, Coach, but do you see any similarities from an 18-year-old Tate Forcier in comparison to an 18-year-old Jimmy Harbaugh?
Well, there's some similarities. They both threw the ball very well. Tate's probably got a little quicker feet, but I look at him more like a leech. Not the fact that they threw the ball, but their ability to go out and lead and be a leader at that age. It isn't just the ability to run or ability to throw the ball. It's the ability to command the offense. And so that's what I'm seeing Tate being able to do. The kids respect him and nice overthrown.
David Cohn now in at quarterback looking for Daryl Stoneham as the ball, they're going red zone offense set up at the 20-yard line. But Coach, if I could change gears just real quick, because you said something at spring practice the other day, I think your insight would help. Fans here that don't know who's the newest defensive coordinator, because it's the third one in 5 years. Tell us about Greg Robinson. You've known him for a long time.
Well, I tell you, he's really a fine gentleman. And the number one thing that I look for is that he is a coach's coach and he's a player's coach. They've got Cohn back to throwing deep in the left end zone. And I think it's caught for a touchdown.
Nice job, Coach Hanlon.
There you go. Daryl Stoneham pulls it in, and the coverage was there, but the throw in the back, and Coach Hanlon taking care of the play-by-play. Feel free to take over.
You always wanted to do that, didn't you?
I taught Beckman everything he did. No, but seriously, Coach Robinson is not just, he's a fine gentleman, and as I said, he's not just he's a coach's coach and a player's coach. And so the thing about it is that he is going to bring the group together. And the number one thing you got to have is unity on within your players and unity within your staff. And so he is certainly going to bring unity to it. And he's coached at every level and been a head football coach and defensive coordinators in the pros and in the college ranks. So he has a wealth of knowledge. I knew him, as I told you the other day. When I was a younger coach and Monty Kiffin was the head coach at North Carolina State, asked me to come down, and I went down to visit them. And two young coaches picked me up at the airport, and they had the kind of job of getting me to practice and chauffeuring me around. Well, one of them was Pete Carroll, who's now the head coach at Southern Cal, and the other one was Greg Robinson. They were former teammates, and they were